What's going on, guys? This is Lord Payne bringing a recent video on my Dragons B10 team, and today I'm very excited. I'm going to jump right into this. I just finished creating a post on Summoners War Sky Arena, where I've been asked to create Summoners War articles for, and I just did my Speed DB10 team, and the reason why I'm so proud of this is because I am not a new Summoners War player, but my arena towers are in a early game status, and I'll show you when I start the video. And I'm gonna just quickly select the units. I'm not gonna go over the runes. Sorry for my finger. The towers are not maxed, so I created a team that works without max towers. So the problem with a lot of endgame players is they show all these teams and units so that, even if you match their units, even if you can somehow match their rune caliber, you fail to take into account that they've got an extra, X percent out of their damage output from their towers. And so I didn't really like that. So I created a team that works. It's a 1 minute team, or my fastest time is 1 minute and 12 seconds. So I will be able to beat that at some point as soon as my towers are maxed, I have 4 water units, so the water attack tower will give me an extra 21% water attack. Crit damage tower will give me an extra 25% crit damage. The only tower I run that's maxed is speed. You don't have to take my word for any of this, though. As soon as this loads, I'm going to show you. Ally buffs. So as you see there, the only thing I've been able to max out is my speed tower, and I've got like 3 power-ups into crit damage. So the idea behind the Speed DB10 team is to output as much damage as possible as quickly as possible. So the idea behind this team is double Tarks. They reduce the cooldowns on all of your units when they use their AoE or their multi-hit, which is group hunt. And not only that, they're attack scaling units with very high base speed. And so what happens is they give themselves self speed buffs on skill 2, the same way Terror does on Squall, and it increases their own damage. So basically they're self-sustaining in that regard, which is super cool, super cool. This is a really fast run, although Galleon just derped and did not hit time to loot. Okay, there's time to loot. Okay, let's go. So now we're here. Okay. This looks like a really good run. I think I just broke a minute 12. This looks like I broke a minute 12. Come on, come on. Ah, minute 15. Oh my God, a minute 15. A minute 15. Okay, well, we won't stop there. Now, I wanted to get that out of the way. Now we can go and look at the runes in depth. So, Galleon. Galleon is the bread and butter of this team, ideally. Now, his AoE is time to loot. And so the defense break multiplies damage by 75%. And attack buff, which also comes with his skill, multiplies damage by 50%. So essentially he adds 125% extra damage to all of your units. So that's an AoE effect, which is great. So with him, you're one-shotting things. Now the ideal build for him, for the record, I am a huge fan of Will and Shield. If you guys are familiar with my account, I have a lot of units, a lot of Nat 5s. I have a lot of Arena Offense Cleave options, so I like the Will Shield option. So on Arena Offense, I can soak up damage when I get outsped because I use a lot of units like Zyros with low base speed. So when I typically lose turn 1, I still survive and can wipe my opponents in one turn because the shield runes allow me to soak up damage, and shield runes do stack. So when you take a unit like Galleon with 11,000 base HP, that's about 4,000 per set. That's 8,000 damage that I'm preventing my team from taking, which is super helpful in that one turn. So that's the idea behind Will Shield. But for PvE, I do recommend Violent for Galleon because of faster cooldowns. So these are my runes. This is not even a rune I powered up yet. This was my Chasun rune. I stripped it for this build. This is one of my favorite runes that I have. I cannot wait to grind that speed into plus 20. That is such an awesome will rune for this build. Next up is my first Tark. Now, Tarks do not have to be violent. Your units for this team don't have to be violent. The idea behind violent is simply faster cooldowns. In this turn order, you want your Galleon to go first, and then your damage dealer, and then your 2 Tarks, and then Verd. The reason for that is so that way Verd goes last, so that way all of your units already had their turns. So when he fills their attack bar, he fills it up with maximum efficiency because they don't have full attack bars because they just had their turns. So Tarks are units that, as I mentioned earlier, they scale off attack speed. So they're self-sustaining, and even though sustain is typically a term used for like healing, I'm using it in this context as a unit that buffs itself. So it scales off attack speed, it has a high base attack speed, and then its second skill gives it extra attack speed, so it essentially multiplies its own damage. So that's freaking crazy to me. And then the bread and butter of Tarks is this skill here that pulls into random units, and when they get pulled in, they do their damage off their skill 1s, and not only do their skill 1s get factored into that damage, they also have a cooldown that's reduced off of all of their skills, which is super awesome. So this is my first Tark. I've got him Violent Blade. And these are not amazing runes. These are some of my personal best runes. There's so many people out there with better runes than I have. I just made this team about a month ago. It's been, my baby. I can't wait to max all my towers so I can get this like a 50-second team. But it's... love it. Next up, we've got Tayor. Sorry, ignore that. Did the video just stop? No, it didn't. Okay. So what's cool about Tayor is, and for the just FYI, anybody who doesn't have a Nat 5 to use in this place, I get that. Possible alternatives are Stella. My Stella, I am currently working on skilling up. My Stella is not max skilled, so I'm not using her yet. She's a huge difference with skill ups. But you can definitely use Stella, or more commonly use Theomars in this spot. So don't be discouraged just because you're like, oh god, there's another YouTuber talking about a farmable or semi-farmable team with a Nat 5. No, you can use other units here. You can use Sigmaris in this spot, and he's a fusion unit. So you can put Sig here. I don't have Sig, but you can use him here. I have used Theo here, and so Theo also works. It's very common for people to use Theo. So this is my Tayor. I use him because his skill 2 has a crazy good multiplier. My Tayor squalls for 140k in the fire dungeon. I'm waiting again to max out all my tires so it does 150. Super exciting. And then the AoE slow, as you saw in that clip, I got the slow on the towers, which helped. Wasn't necessary, but it helped. And then it also speeds up the runs because it's an AoE effect. So that's my Tayor. I used to have a speed rune here, and then I just decided to just keep him pure damage based. This is my second Tark. He's a little faster, but he's got a lot less crit rate. And that's my second Tark. And who else did we use? I think that was it. Oh, Verd. Verd was super hard to rune. I was not able with my runes to make him Rage Revenge. Mine is Rage Offset because of this rune here. I couldn't say no to this rune. That 21 speed was so beautiful. How could I deny that? How could I deny that love right there? 21 speed, ungrinded, so that's going to be 26 speed, so I couldn't say no. So I left him as is. I can easily grind all these runes. I haven't done raids in a while, so as you look at these teams, you'll see these are not min-maxed. These runes are not grinded. They're still in very basic stages. I have so much more options that I can do on all these runes. Okay, so Tayor is a little grinded. This rune, probably speed can go up. This one can be changed. Can get a speed sub for HP there. I can switch out. Actually, there's nothing to switch because you can't get attack. I can grind speed. Defense, I can convert back into speed. I can switch out one of these into crit rate or crit damage. I'm probably going to go crit rate. And then for here, so yeah, the point is there are options. So I think that concludes it. I covered everything. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please feel free to comment below if you have any questions. And this is a usable team for Speed Dragons by a lot of people. I do not have the best runes. There are a lot of players out there who use the same team as I do, with Tayor replacements. And so the breakdown of this team is as follows. You've got your 2 Tarks, your Galleon, and your Verd. That is the 4-man team. That's what solidifies it. The last spot just has to be a damage dealer. So the most common unit is Theomars. Some replacements are Chow, Sigmoris, and Stella. Those are very common. I guess Chow wouldn't really arguably be common, but the other Nat 5 in that sense is fusionable. So I still stand by this as an obtainable team because the Nat 5 in the team comp, which would be Sigmaris that you can use, is obtainable, as is Theomars. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Have a good night.